Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder has to be the dumbest man that ever existed in the heavyweight division. And let's just break it down. Now, we started about $100 million contract from DAZN. And one of the biggest platforms there is for boxing right now, because DAZN has the biggest star in North American boxing in Canelo Alvarez, has the biggest star in Europe boxing, which is Anthony Joshua. And so Deontay Wilder was offered a massive deal from DAZN, over $100 million, at least $20 million guaranteed, just for the Dominic Brazil fight. And he took a fraction of that to fight, not on pay-per-view, but on regular Showtime, to fight a Dominic Brazil who was Anthony Joshua's leftovers. So he could have made $20 million by just simply fighting on DAZN, fighting a guy he was going to fight regardless, and then having two of the biggest fights of his career and fighting Anthony Joshua back to back. There's only one legitimate reason why Deontay Wilder would not take this offer in this deal, and it's simply because he's ducking Anthony Joshua. He's a paper champion. He's holding on to a title in which he feels like he will lose. He's betting on himself, feeling like he'd be able to get more than $100 million than Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua. He feels his value is greater than $100 million, which is very laughable when, he's never had a payday over $10 million. So explain that to me. He said, it was a horrible deal when Anthony Joshua initially offered him $15 million, but yet he said he'd agreed to all terms, but then he never signed the contract. See, this is what brings me back to the beginning of this whole situation with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, when everyone was saying, oh, he offered Anthony Joshua $50 million. Oh, but then when you look at it, you realize that $50 million was fake. There was never any real offer. There was never a contract. And when Anthony Joshua offered him 15 plus a percentage split, and Deontay Wilder agreed, then reneged and said, you know what? I've lost my pen. It was never about the money. It was never about feeling respected with percentage splits. It was never about any of those things. You know why it was never about any of those things? Because he never wanted to fight Anthony Joshua. Think about it. He's been offered basically $100 million to fight Anthony Joshua twice in the bum that is Dominic Brazil. And yet he's blowing a golden opportunity that he may never get again. Because what happens is Deontay Wilder is probably the worst, most technically sound heavyweight that ever existed. So he's not technically sound, and he's the worst technical heavyweight that ever existed. So since that's the case, he's always in danger of losing, even to lower tier fighters. Dominic Brazil is a solid fighter, a pretty good fighter, and Anthony Joshua made easy work of him. And the reason why AJ made easy work of him, not only does he have elite punching power, but he has elite top-level boxing skills and abilities as well. He's a very good and talented boxer. He's constantly growing from fight to fight, and he's been in with some of the best opposition there is. So his resume is littered. Anthony Joshua is a very good fighter overall. Deontay Wilder typically is just a one-trick pony, only has the big right hand, can't box, has terrible fundamentals, and has poor foot movement. And so what happens is, when you get a guy like Dominic Brazil in there who can really crack, he could put Wilder on the canvas and put him out of his misery. Now, my ultimate thoughts on this fight is, I think Wilder will catch him with the right hand at some point and put him to sleep. But what if he doesn't do it soon enough? What if Brazil gets to him before Wilder can get to him? Because that's a unique possibility. You have to look at it. Deontay Wilder has lost rounds against Arthur Spilka, lost rounds against Eric Molina. He's lost rounds against El Gallo Negro and Gerald Washington. He's lost multiple rounds against lower tier fighters. So that leaves open the possibility and the chance that he could lose to a Dominic Brazil. So why not take this same fight for your career high payday and $20 million, and then get two more career high paydays and $40 million apiece? Why not do that? And he stated his logic and reason was loyalty to Showtime. The same Showtime who did not offer him a contract, who is not giving him a guaranteed deal, and if he loses his next fight against Dominic Brazil, he's stuck. So make that sense to me, because you know what, Dominic Brazil doesn't have to give Deontay Wilder a rematch after this fight. Let's say Deontay Wilder loses to Dominic Brazil. Deontay Wilder doesn't automatically get a rematch. You know why? Because he was a mandatory. That's why, because they actually ordered the mandatory. This is why ordering a mandatory for Deontay Wilder actually hurts him at this point, because if he loses this fight for any chance, he does not get an immediate rematch without negotiating with Dominic Brazil and making sure it's on Brazil's terms altogether. So what if Brazil decides, to hell with Wilder, I'll take my business to Anthony Joshua. What then? Or I take it to Dillian White and sells the belt to the highest bidder. Now, this is a direct quote from Deontay Wilder that Steven Espinoza has tweeted out. And just follow this quote. He states, "This is my career. I don't go to your job and tell you how you should ask for a raise because you work hard, or that you shouldn't because you don't. So don't do it to me." Now, the funny thing about Deontay Wilder saying this is that initially his whole tune started from he wasn't being respected enough financially. Anthony Joshua was not giving him the amounts and numbers that he deserved, and that's why the fight's not happening. Now it's turning around and saying, oh, it's not about the money, it's about loyalty to Showtime. He doesn't want to fight on the app. All of these excuses. And when we get down to all of the grits and gravy of the situation, we know what's going on. We know the situation, and we know what's happening. And the truth of the matter is Deontay Wilder is ducking Anthony Joshua. He's going to try to avoid him for as long as possible. And he's going to try to make as much money as he can without fighting Anthony Joshua. That's what he wants to do, because he knows the moment he steps in the ring with a competent fighter who has elite power punching, he's going to be put to sleep, because Deontay Wilder takes at least 4 or 5 rounds to figure most guys out. And Anthony Joshua is going to clip him well before the 4 or 5 rounds. Once again, Unbiased as always. It's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.